Wrong mouse. Here we go. All right, so happy Friday morning. Today we're gonna keep on working on that that fun Twitch chat project that we started yesterday, and I have an idea about how to make it work. So let's actually switch over to that. I realized yesterday, as soon as I ended the stream, I hadn't actually pushed up any of the code to GitHub, which I guess might be fine because I think today is going to be a major refactor and do it slightly different day. Documents, projects, mine, Twitch, chat. So let's see if I could find like a version, like a web version of Paint or something. Web app Paint. Is this too complicated for what I want? This might work. Okay. Can I make it bolder? Size a little bigger. Path. Plain is good. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's see if I could do this. So what I currently have is, I guess that sort of works when it doesn't lag. I currently have my ActixX. So that would be here. So Actix web. This is my web server, which also means that I have a so I have an actual web client up in the cloud up here, and then currently I've been building out this separate app here that is going to be chat bot. But I've realized that I can't just put 100% of the logic of the chat bot back here, because that means that that I won't be able to access that on the front end here, and that's a major problem for me. So what I want is to be able to link these two up together. These are already linked just by being they're not really like fully rendered by Actix Web. They're just sort of taking the files and sending them on up to the client. But what I do want is the web client comes up, then I want it to make a request to the chat bot, and if possible, have this be a Websockets request, where it says, hey, establish a WebSocket connection with the chatbot server, and every single message that comes in, send it on up to the web client. That means that we'll get all these messages, we can process them, do all the voting up here. Any message we want to send back, we can, this can automatically send back down to the chatbot, which then sends it to the Twitch chat. So that's my idea of what we're going to go on here. So it's a little bit of a refactor because there's going to be less logic on the chatbot side. It's more of going to be, okay, I'm going to establish my connection to the IRC client server. I'm going to have all my keys shared there privately, and then once I establish that connection, also have this WebSocket connection. Anything that comes in, I just send on up to the WebSocket. So there is going to be some logic of like storing the WebSocket and also emitting that out every single time we get a connection, but it is going to change just a little bit what we're going to see. So let's go ahead, and this time I'm going to create a new Git project. Managed just barely to press the mute button on that one. All right, so this is gonna be a full new project, isn't it? Miguel, hey, good morning. All right, so what do I want to call this? This is going to be basically Rusty. I don't think WebSockets is the right protocol for this. I would see gRPC, or basically a proto buff in other languages, to send to the client. gRPC, I might agree, for server to server communication. There's a native WebSockets in all browsers now, so that makes it really easy to do. Plus, I could push from the server, and I like that idea. So Rusty chatbot server. I don't think we need any of this here. We just want to create the repository. Get this code. Git remote -v. Git remote -v. Okay, so git remote add origin. So the reason why I was thinking about WebSockets is mainly that push. The other thing would be a long pull. Long pulling also would work. After the talk, I'm not really fully sold on gRPC on the front end. Especially since it's proprietary by Google. I'm not completely sure I want to go down that path. I forgot we need the constant connection with the web browser. Yeah, that's the thing that's gonna be nice, is because I could then, this allows me to have the ability to create the polls via any way I want and display a visualization of the polls. You still need something to keep the servers in sync. Well, so I don't think that the web server, so we come back to here, these servers don't need to know anything about each other. So they don't really need to be in sync. ActixWeb is just going to send up the JavaScript and HTML and CSS that's going to be the web client up here. The web client, as soon as it initializes, comes to the chatbot and says, hey, I'm alive. Let's start getting chats now. Like whatever we have, like start getting them right now. I don't know why I have the iPad here. So I think that we don't really need to keep them in sync because they don't need to communicate. Like there's nothing they need to talk to each other about. The web client is going to be the one that does a majority of the logic in this case, but that's only because it needs to display like the visualization of it. And that's the easiest way for it to handle that, is just over the web. Now, I vaguely remember creates.io seeing that there is a WebSocket. Okay, so we go to web. Handlebars is interesting too. I wanna try that out. Lightweight, event-driven WebSockets for Rust. This is what we want to try. Okay, so what do we have here? A WebSocket echo server. Listen on whatever port. Then you hand it a closure. Then, okay, so it's moving a message which was created earlier, and then out send the message. Looks like you need to move it into send, or at least that's what it's sounding like. Let's go to their documentation. Well, there's no examples here on this documentation. Okay, so we'll do the crates. Oh, of course you didn't find it there. Oh, no, here it is. You did find it. All right, so let's... the other question is, do I want to do this in the same one? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to here. Actually going to close you. I want to actually create a new directory, Mictor Playgrounds, and wait, I have a Playgrounds? What's in it? Oh, okay. So I already have a Playgrounds area. Okay, so let's move in projects, mine, Twitch, chat into Playgrounds. That moves that into there. So now we can go continue into projects and mine, and we're gonna do cargo new. What did I call this? It's a Rusty chatbot server. It's gonna be upset with the dashes in it. It needs to be underscores. Okay, cd into it and open up code. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set up this like basic WebSocket server in here. I guess we also want to set this up. Get remote-v, add origin, that. Okay, so also be able to do our initial commit. And publish. Okay, so that's up on GitHub Live right now. And what do we want to do with that then? So we're sort of like resetting our chatbot server. So now we want to come back up to here, copy you, and then put you in the cargo toml. And cargo run. Let's see how long this takes to set up. So any information and data that I'm thinking would end up going to the Actix web server, I'm thinking is going to be the client's responsibility. So the client will say, okay, I have all this stuff that I've gotten from the chatbot, and I want to store it in like a database. So my choice is I can either send that to the Actix web server and it stores it in a database for me, or I would need to have another server again that it is in charge of the database. And of course, if I do that, then the active web server would need to contact that behind the scenes. So we might have chances to play with protobuf or gRPC in the future. So it's been interesting to see what crates people are using. This one doesn't seem to be using that too many. All right, so that was pretty fast. 1 minute 31 seconds. And we got our hello world. Let's take a look. Okay, so not exactly sure I really like this. I feel like I would like to see the entire main file essentially here, because we know that this WS is WS. So in main, I know I need to bring in extern create WS. And we want to use WS listen. Oh, interesting. Okay. Maybe I don't want to use, I just want to use, maybe I don't want to use WS listen, because in here, we can say, it's WS listen, and then we give it the IP address that we're running on. So WS listen. The address is going to be 127.0.0.1 colon. They're suggesting 3012. I don't think it really matters. We could do 3002 because our web server is running on 3001. Our factory is just a closure. So we're going to take in, should I just call it socket? And in the socket, okay, this is interesting. We have listen. We then give it a closure to run. This closure returns a closure that then tells it what to do. Okay. We need to move out into this closure. That's what the move is for. I didn't notice there's a second closure here. That is pretty crazy. Magnum Baguette, good morning. Can you tell me when I can learn about sockets in general? You can learn anytime. You don't need to rely upon me. All right. Where? Where? So WebSockets are, I guess it depends. What server are you working with? So this is move message. Like a message is coming in through here. Oh, and then just sending out again. You want to implement it with Python. So I'm not familiar with WebSockets in Python. So I'm not exactly sure where I would send you with that. Probably just a lot of Google searching. So sorry about that. I don't have good information for you. Maybe someone in chat knows? Move message. So in here, then we're going to say out.send the message. Now, so they're saying that this is going to be a How to send message. Oh, so this is returned too. Mismatch types expected nothing, found enum standard result. So listen is a result type. So we need to unwrap this. Okay, so theoretically this will work, and the idea is that when we emit something to this WebSocket, we get something back. I guess we could just start with this. We can compile it, see if it compiles. So that's not the screen I want. All right, so we got a server. Hard to tell exactly how good the server is. So let's how do I want to do this? You come over here, open up DevTools, go to the console. All right, so can I just do everything in here? Let's do const socket equals new. This is pretty small too. Here, web socket. I need to remember mdn web socket. Okay, so primary interface, message event. Let's just go down and what? WebSocket. Okay, so create a new WebSocket. Const equals new WebSocket, and then the okay. So where we're going. So WS. That's the URI here. WS : / localhost : 3002. So now we have this socket. Where I keep on forgetting it's over here. Socket add event listener. When it opens, we then socket send hello server. We can just socket send at any time, can't we? We want to add an event listener when we get a message. That's what we want to do. Okay, so socket.add event listener. It is just message. And then it's just a callback function, right? Yeah, so we're going to get a callback function. We're going to get the event and event.data. But we can just do the entire event. So we'll get event, and we want to console.log message from server event. Okay, so there's our add event listener. So now we can just do socket.send and we'll send hello world. And then we got message from server. Message data is hello world. and I'm kind of interested here in seeing what this is. So we've got the socket. That's probably some kind of structure for us. Because it's not really, yeah, it's a capital S, so it's a type. Move the message. So there's not really much for us to like figure out here, but this socket. So if we want to send something, it's gonna have to be inside of here. Can I, well, let's see. So how would I be able to know to send, like if I'm getting those chat things, that's gonna be another entire section of code. So how would I be able to get those messages? Probably some kind of structure that's holding them in a queue. And so I can be checking those, and then like one is adding them in and then one is taking them out. So move message socket send. Okay. This is all fine. But apparently it's pretty easy to create a WebSocket server. So now what I want to do is recreate the chat bot, but probably use a little bit better of practices. I will probably end up using a library for it, whereas this could can this be in the library too? And then I want to basically, I mean, there's not much I really need to do with this besides, okay, it's just send, okay, basic thing, as soon as we get a message from the chat in, just send it on out to the client. And that's it. That's all we care about. So how do I want to do this? So let's, because I know I'm going to need it, let's create a live.rs. So first things first, we do I want to create like a run function in the library and put this in here? Probably. Because then I can, instead of unwrap there, like here at this point, I could then create a custom error and send that on up. And we'll just have that have it unwrap here. So if we have a pub function run, we're not necessarily taking anything in. Maybe we should take in this. That would be the URL. So Visual Studio Code updated again. Remind me later, not right now. Okay, so this will be the address. It's gonna be a type, probably a stir. And we're gonna return a results. So nothing if it's working really. And it's gonna be an error of probably a string if it does work. Okay, so for run, then we're gonna take this entire thing, cut you out, put you in here. You will be the address. Then we'll have the socket. And this gives us the socket, and then we have these move messages. Is this really need to be returned? Okay, I want to get it working as it is right now. I don't necessarily want to do this as an unwrap. I think I can do a match on this. And so in match, we're gonna have, this is a result, right? So we're gonna have an okay, which is pretty much just okay. And so if it's that, I want to return nothing, just like parentheses. And if it's an error, I want to return, well, it's going to be the string, right? So it's string from error initializing WebSocket. Let's close you. Okay, so theoretically everything should still be running, right? So we have extern crate WS, we have extern crate whatever I named this thing. Rusty chatbot server. Miguel, did you mean reference string slice for the function input, or did I miss new REST features? You're probably right. I probably did mean a REST slice, a string slice here. And Orange Varus, good morning. Hello. External crate cannot find crate for Rusty chatbot server. It's right here. It's this thing. Why are you? Why are you so far off? Okay. You're tabbed in that like that. Okay, so move message socket.send message. Kind of like don't feel I need this at all. You could all be one-liner. That'll make it easier to see. Okay, so we have match this. You're opening and closing here. Here's our closure. We're then moving and doing that in this closure, and then the match arms begin. Okay, so that's a little bit easier to read. You're still complaining you can't find the crate, which is interesting, and you are for some reason 4 spaces when the library is 2 spaces, which I don't get how that happened. Okay. Close you. All right, so I want to maybe use the Rusty chatbot server. Run. It found you. I just want run like that, and then I can do run. The address is going to be 127.0.0.1:3002. Okay, and so then this is going to be, it's going to bubble up the error. So I want to handle that here. So if there's an error, do I want to do that as I could do that as a match here. So if it's an error, I'm going to get the error. And so I would want to, isn't there a print error? Not print line, there's a print error, right? Because I wanted this to go to standard error. I need to remember how to do that. Rust print to standard out. There's print out standard error. Okay, come on. There's got to be a macro for it. I mean, I vaguely remember seeing one. Oh, there's rustwiki.org. Is this just going to add that mute standard error equals sound? I don't want to write standard error in that way. Okay. It's like they're recreating the book too. Did I put this in my wiki? That would be, maybe I did. If not, I'm going to add it in there. Okay, so there's printing values. Direct debugs, that's not what I want. There's error handling. So that's just normal error handling. Let's go to the actual book and then see if we could find. Oh, that's not what I want. There a it's print line. Macro for printing standard output with a new line. Use print line only for primary output of your server. Use ePrint line instead to print error and progress message. That's what it is. ePrint line. So we can actually put that in here. Let's see. We have code crates. That's printing values. We can add in a section. So we have debug right here. We have printing to standard out. What was I doing? I was doing just an example of it. So this is going to be E line. This will go to standard out. And then documentation. Oh no, I didn't copy URL. All right, so that should it. So now we can have a ePrint line to go to standard out. So perfect. Let's come back to here. This will be an ePrint line of error. So just error running. And this will be the error. And then I want to quit. So do I want to panic or do I want to quit? I could just panic and quitting. As there was an error. Okay, so I'm hoping that this will still run. Access to external crates through Prelude is experimental. Match. Oh, you know what? I forgot. So in WebSocket, we need to pull this into the library. Does that make you go away? Oh, of course it doesn't. Match bindings cannot shadow tuple variants. Cannot be named the same as a tuple variant. Well, no, I thought that was what the arm was. What is it? Match arms have incompatible types. Expected standard result found where? Right here. Oh, I'm supposed to return result there. But okay, so this is not, we're not getting an okay there then. I kind of want to, at this point in time, just remove, I guess it's remove the okay, because if it's anything, this needs to not just be this, but a result. So an error, pass this in, and this is everything else, pass in okay, like that. Cannot be named the same as a tuple variant. I thought that was the idea of it. Okay, so what was I getting back? Oh, is it a sum? Am I getting back like a sum or a none? That must be what I'm getting back then. So error string from error initializing the WebSocket. Expected function found in oh, so I'm not getting a result, I'm getting a sum. Okay, let's go look at their documentation and figure out what they're giving me. Macro standard. Okay, WebSockets. So listen. Returns a result. Type T and then the error. Okay. What will be oh, and this is result nothing? Wait a second. You're doing a result of absolutely nothing. That feels a little bit weird. That they're giving me like a result, but there's nothing in here. Like there's never can be anything in here. So where to socket? Okay, so let WebSocket. They're using tries. Okay, so WebSocket new factory try. It's just always returning an okay. Well, if they're always going to return an okay, unfortunately, there's no error that we can ever catch because there won't be an error if there's a problem. So I might as well. Okay, so I don't want to match. I want to do this WebSocket. Listen. This moves into here, so we move the message socket. This comes back to here. We don't need any of these. At this point in time, we might as well just have like a question mark. And we're just forwarding things along. We don't have this doesn't have an error that can come on. It's just a result. Which means in this side, match run, we can just unwrap this. We'll run you. Okay, and there's no error panic. We just run you and do unwrap. Because there's nothing else to do. Wrong number of type arguments, expected 2, found 1. Oh, right, expected 2. So result. So public function run. Well, right now, with the fact that we have nothing that we can do we even want? There's no reason to even have a result. We're just doing an unwrap here, essentially. And we could just return nothing. We don't really have a choice right now. We'll just execute you. Okay, so WebSocket server is running. Let's come back to here. Did we get an error? I don't think we got an error. So are we still like, no, so we've got to reconnect. So that won't work. So we have to refresh. Oh, so that we lost all that stuff. So at this point, I have 0 experience with WebSockets, but would there be a reason to have a result? Can listen fail in any way? Like, I guess I'm just used to the idea that there always could be a failure, right? Like, for some reason, what if the port is busy? Like, what if we can't do that? There's usually something that can cause it to fail, even if it's not something we can predict right now. All right, so let's do this one. Oh, we have to do the const send first. So new WebSocket, add event listener, and send. And we got it. Okay, so WebSocket is still running. Everything is still working. So now the idea is that we're going to see about including in the chatbot stuff. So this is where it's going to get a little bit more interesting. How do I get chatbot messages in, and then for every single one, send it out here? This is just a mirror. I'm actually thinking I could create this and just do a if message equals ping, then I want to socket.send pong. Yeah, from a safety perspective, get what you mean. I was wondering their idea behind returning a result, which seems quite odd. Yeah, like it feels a little bit dangerous, but obviously they're not here for me to ask that about. Having a ping pong would be nice, that I could just send them a ping as soon as I come up and we'll get a pong. And it's a way we can like test to make sure that the web server is still running. And then we can have, it looks like if message equals this, it looks like we're going to have all of our logic in here. So actually, so we'll have like a whole bunch of logic to determine what to say. Well, no, this is when a message is coming in. So this is socket in here. Message is coming in. We don't have to have this right now. We could do something like, okay, when we initialize the server and we set it up, that's how we would want to do that. Is there anything else that we care about from this? WebSocket, close kind. So there's these errors, there's these enum errors they have. Just connect and listen. So it's nice and simple. All right, let's not worry about it too much. We're gonna put in all of our, okay, so sending to the socket clients happens here. So it would be essentially socket.send a string to send. Also, that send. So where's socket? There's WebSocket. It's whatever is passed into here. So out. What is that? Request response? No, that's not what I want. I want maybe the request or the message, or oh no, that's so. Oh yeah, no, is this out? This is the socket. So builder, deflate util. Address, it's just a factory function there. I guess I want to know what type is this? What type is out? Frame handshake request. Kind, air kind, message, opcode, factory, handler, result. I mean, there's no, so there's not much implementations for that. Okay, so I don't really, yeah. It would be really nice for me to know what this is so I can just see what the methods are available to me. Right now, all I see is just out.send. And there's no way for me to tell what other things there are. Okay. Let's move on to going back. Come up here, open up a new tab. CD into playgrounds and Twitch chat. We'll open up code here. Okay, so make you nice and big. Those are vote. We're going to put that on. I think we're going to put all the vote stuff on the front end now. So we're not going to have to worry about that back here anymore. The idea is that we have extern create IRC. Use IRC client prelude, and then we also need the standard environment. I noticed that there was a .env crate. I think I'm going to try to use that instead of putting it into my bash profile, because I feel very uncomfortable leaving my code in there. Then I could just keep it in a file in the local, the project directory, and then that way anybody else brings that in, I can have a sample code so they can create their own. Okay, so OAuth. So we need the OAuth token. We config the IRC client. Then we get the IRC client. So is that testable? Is this something that I can test? I don't think so yet. Let mute votes. Right, so we don't care about the votes right now. Then we have to identify and unwrap it. IRC client for each incoming. So for each incoming, let raw message clone. So we're cloning the message. We're then figuring out what it is, and then we're sending on up. So I wonder if extern create IRC. If in our library, do we also want to use it here? So extern create IRC. Oh, which means, of course, we need to come into this cargo toml, bring this in. Okay, so if we bring in IRC, then we need to bring in the IRC client prelude. IRC client prelude. Use IRC client prelude. Everything. We're also going to use the .env project. So let's go find that as well. Although maybe for right now, let's not worry about like adding too many things at once. We'll do it exactly the same thing that we did here. So use standard env. Use standard env. Do I want to do that here? So we have the address. I might want to put that into main. So use standard env, and then when we call run, we can call it with the address, and we should probably have a config struct that we can then throw all that in there, and then we pass that struct in. We can test that, no problem. So use standard env. I'm gonna have run commented out for right now, because the first thing I'm gonna want to do here is let Twitch OAuth token equals it's going to be this env var Twitch OAuth, and then of course we have to unwrap it because there's a chance that it won't exist. So env var Twitch OAuth. Env var Twitch OAuth. Unwrap because it's an option, and we want it to panic if in case it doesn't exist. Okay, so that gives us our Twitch OAuth token. Then we need to create this config, but that config will be in the run. So before I end up doing that, I'm going to come back to lib. What we're going to end up doing is having basically a pub. Does it need to be pub? I think it does. So pub struct setup config, and the config is going to have the WebSocket address, which is going to be a type string. And we're also going to have the OAuth token. So OAuth Twitch OAuth token, which is type string. And okay, so before I implement the new, all these will be private, so internal only. We'll have an implement of a new, which means down here we'll have our test. So stacking, you are here. I will be doing test-driven development for this one, unlike yesterday's, which was more. It's not test-driven development. We kind of maybe ran into a little bit of trouble because of that. All right, so I constantly forget that first macro like that we put in, or no, it's not a macro. It's the it's some kind of annotation. So it's Rust test lib. Just want to see. Yeah, it's config test. So hash cfg test. Hash cfg test. Then in here we have mod test, so our mod tests. Speaking of me busting on you for not using TDD, that guy you rated yesterday was about exciting as watching dry paint. Well, he was the only one that was doing Rust, but I mean looked like he was working on a chatbot, it looks like. Which is like the same as what we were doing. Okay, so we have tests. Then we have tests. Then it's just test. Okay, so function struct config new, or so create new struct create new config. Okay. We don't return anything with these, right? No. Okay, so then I'm gonna run this. So I need to run the super thing, don't I? So that's up here. So that's use super that. So now I can just run this. So config. So I should be able to do let and this should be a capital C. What are you upset about? The trait bounds. Now function message is not satisfied. The trait standard ops function WS message was not implemented for. Oh, wait. I need another thing in here? Like I need to do a socket.send. How does it? Oh, interesting. So the very first, the return of this is what we send. Out.message. So for everything that comes in, we have something. So we need to return from this and out.message. Don't know if it helps, but in the function description, it says that the factory takes a sender and returns a handler. Ooh, wait, where was that? In the function description. Handler. H is handler. So f unmute. F is this, the factory function takes in a sender. That would be this. And it returns an H handler. There, traits handler. Okay, so we have on shutdown, on open, on message, on close. Okay. Provided methods. That doesn't include, oh wait, no, because we're not sending the message on that. These are just, so this is what's coming in. So on shutdown, on open, on message, on close. Okay, so the handler, so that makes so much more sense. This handler, I want to use the correct terms here. So we're getting a sender here. This is a sender. And then in here, we're going to be returning a closure that's a handler, takes in handler, and then in here, this is where the handling of all this stuff, happens. This will be the message that gets called in. This function gets called over and over and over and over again. So handler, the sender is what we can do is to send out. The handler, so, okay, I wanted to go to handler. On open, so, because in their documentation, they just have move message out.send. The message. That still feels weird the way this works. Because this shouldn't just be the message, right? This function, this handler, turns the hand. Oh, this is what it is. We need to send out the handler. This is just the message. This is incoming message. This is essentially this is the sender essentially, so we'll call this sender. And we need to return a handler. So we can sender every time that this gets called, every time that we get a message in, it'll call this closure. That's where we're going to have our ping. So we can say if incoming message equals ping, then we want to say sender dot send And this needs to be returned also because this is the handler. Because send, it returns a handler. Okay. All right, so if we want to look at that, sender has send, right? Send returns a result of nothing. Okay, I don't know. Everything is weird. I don't know. Okay. Are you upset still? Maybe missing an else clause. Expected open close parentheses. Found enum center result. I guess this is WebSocket. You are unwrap here. You somehow moved in too much. Okay, so you move incoming message. If incoming message is ping, then sender that send, I need to unwrap. WebSocket listen, type mismatch resolving, sender as ops output, result, WS error. Oh wait, there is an error here. Expected nothing, found enum standard result. Required by WS listen. Well, wait a second. It's a function, just returned nothing. So what's actually happening wrong? You're also upset. The trait bound WS message not satisfied. Can't compare message with reference to string slice. Okay. I'm just gonna, I guess I have to do something. I have to do sender dot send. I can just incoming message and send it back. Oh, you want to send back that result, don't you? So the result gets sent back to this closure, which then sends it back to WS listen, which then just happens to not do anything with it. Or it panics behind the scene. I'm not sure. Okay, so that out of the way. So let config equals config new, and we want to pass in, so we're gonna have let URI, no, let IP, let IP address equals 27.0.0.1:3002, and let OAuth Twitch OAuth token equals I am a token. I think it actually looks like this. OAuth colon something like that. Then we're going to pass into this IP address and the Twitch OAuth token. This should probably have, should this have some kind of error handling on it? Well, I mean, if I don't pass it in the correct things, it'll be really upset about that. So in reality, this should just be fine. It will just return the new config. And then I want to test. So assert equal that config dot web socket address is equal to this. I guess no, I moved it in there, so and assert equal. This will be the config dot twitch OAuth token is equal to this. Okay, so you're upset. No function or associated item named new found for type. Okay, so we need to fix that. Implement config pub fn new. This takes in the IP address. This is a type reference to stir. And the Twitch OAuth token. So if I'm getting this from that, those have always traditionally been strings that have been passed in. So this should probably be a type string. Just being passed in because it'll make it easier. And we're returning a config. Okay, so we save. Now it should yell at us that we're not actually returning a config. That would be nice. You should probably be string from front. All right, so now you're telling us that we're not returning anything. Okay, so now we want to return a new config with yes, you should be WebSocket address. WebSocket address and the Twitch OAuth token. Okay, so if I save you, come back to here, we're on the wrong one. We'll do cargo test. Oh, it's got to bring in, I forgot, it's got to bring in IRC now. This might take a while. Oh, right, it's gotta bring in Tokyo. I forgot it has Tokyo, which takes forever to compile. I guess in that case, I might as well do a quick break since it's been an hour and a half almost, and I'll be back shortly. In the meantime, I can do the quick break screen. All right, I'm gonna go walk around a little bit and get some more water. I'm back. Okay, so looks like we had a problem. Mismatch types, WebSocket address, expected struct standard string, founded string slice. Where was this? Source live RS line 14. Right, because this needs to be a string. We got in a string slice here, so we just need to make this a to owned. Okay, next. Expected one of found dot. Oh, can I not do dot to owned here? Oh no. Okay, hold on. WebSocket address colon WebSocket address to owned. That's what we need to do. Unused imports. Okay, we'll be using those soon enough. And all the tests pass. Perfect. Okay, so first test alive and working. So what this means is now in main RS, we can go ahead. We're going to have the Twitch OAuth token, which is going to come in as a string. We're also want to create the let IP address equals just a what is this going to be? It's going to be a 127.0.0.1 colon 3002. And then we're going to let config equals. So this is Rusty Chatbot Server, Rusty Chatbot Server run. We also probably use Rusty Chatbot Server config. So here I can now just do config new. It's going to be the IP address. And the other one is the Twitch OAuth tokens. That works fine. Okay. No function or item associated named new found for type Rusty Chatbot Server config in the current scope. I feel like cargo run. That ran. Why are you yelling at me? There is totally a new function there. It's right there. Okay. I don't know. It seems like VS Code goes through these times where it's like really good and then it's just really not working. Lasagna Lenart? Len? I don't know if it's Len Art or Lasagna Lenart. Good morning, welcome to the stream. Is Linux my primary operating system? Yes. I generally like developing on Linux a little bit more. Although almost every place that I work at, I work on a Mac system. And then of course I also have a Windows system because why not? I mean, it's good for playing games and for actually running a streaming server. Okay, so we have this. Then the next thing is to run passing in the config. So our function run is not going to take in an address anymore. It's going to take in a config of type config. And so this way it's going to be config dot WebSocket address. The sender, it's going to be the incoming message. Sender.send. Okay, so all of this is going to be the mirror. Got unwrapped, so that should be fine then. Yeah, macros and Linux seems to be the best choice for developers. Each time I want to do something simple on Windows, like updating Node, it's a huge pain. It does feel like that sometimes. I mean, at the latest thing, the last time I needed to do something on Windows, I ended up just using Docker to store all this stuff because it was so much easier. All right, so this brings in that. This should then once again work. You are still yelling at me for no reason. Cargo run should work just fine. But you quit right away. Right, because I forgot to do this. Run. Dot unwrap. In fact, is my run returns nothing, so it should just be run. So this should start the WebSocket server. Nope, this function takes, so run takes a parameter. Oh, run takes the config, so I need to pass in the config. All right, I think it's running. Okay, so this means that we have our chatbot, our WebSocket server, and then the next step will be to start doing the well, to continue on with putting in IRC. So we have our OAuth token. It's in our config now, so we can now get that out of the config whenever we need to. The next thing would be to create the IRC config. So this is no doubt tested. This would be great to put into its own function. See about that. In here, in lib, all right, so where do I want to put that? It's probably just going to be a function, right? It's a private function. And I'm not sure exactly how I can test this because like it's not mine. So if I just have a private function, so function create IRC config, this is going to take in so nickname, server is going to be just known to us. The port's known to us. The password is the OAuth token. And then the channel. Okay. So now we need nickname and channels. Which really means that before we go and do this, we need to add in nickname and channel. So here, let nickname equals, this is going to be my name, let channel equals channel name, my channel. So then when we create the config, we're going to pass in IP address, Twitch OAuth token, the nickname, and the channel name, which means that assert equal. So we got WebSocket address, assert equal config dot nickname is now going to be equal to my nickname. And assert equal config dot channel name is going to be equal to my channel. Of course, these don't exist yet, and it's very unhappy that we're passing in 4 parameters when it wants 2, but of course it doesn't have nickname or channel name. So we can go ahead and fix this now. So in public struct config, well, we're going to take in, this is going to be nickname. I guess I could just call it nickname. Nickname is going to be a string, and channel name is going to be a string. I think I want to actually call this Twitch nickname and Twitch channel name, just to make sure that it's WebSockets will be given WebSocket and Twitch stuff will be given Twitch. Okay, so then in config, we're going to put in WebSocket address, Twitch OAuth token, the Twitch nickname, which is a type string, and a Twitch channel name, which is a type string. Multi-line this. Okay, then on our config, we have WebSocket address, Twitch OAuth token, Twitch nickname, which is, so it's a string, so it's going to be the same thing. So Twitch channel name, Twitch nickname dot toOwned, and Twitch channel name dot toOwned. All right, that should cause these tests to pass. No mismatch types. Okay, so nickname here. Expected struct standard string string found reference string. Oh, that's probably what I want to do is same thing as this. So in new, these take a reference to stir. A reference to stir. Okay, what next? Mismatch types, expected struct standard string string found reference to stir. Well, wait a second. Twitch OAuth token was supposed to have been. Oh, I did the wrong one. That's why. No field nickname on type config. That's here. Yeah, these are Twitch. This function takes 4 parameters, but 2 parameters survived. So now we're on to main is upset. So we now need the nickname and channel name. So let's nickname my upstairs somebody is running the blender. Okay, so nickname is going to be equal to Zerker bot. Was that what I called it? Zerker bot. I did. Okay. And let channel name equals, I think it's just hash Zerker. And then in config, we now want to pass in nickname, channel name. You're still yelling at me that there's no new. Tests are passing. Oh, and everything is being used now. That's nice. Okay, so back to here. Now that we have the config that has all the information that we need in it, we can now in run ask for get the config for this. Get the IRC config. So let's do that above here, because there's no reason to establish WebSockets until after our IRC is running and we can potentially be getting chat messages. So let IRC config equals, and this is just going to be to generate the IRC config. So generate IRC config, and we can pass in. So we're consuming the WebSocket address off of config here. If I pass in config, it'll consume it here. I wonder if I can get away with passing in a reference to the config. So if I pass in a reference to the config will still be owned by run. It will take out and consume different parts of this. And in fact, if I need to, I can actually, you know what? Off of config, it might be better for me to, well, no, config shouldn't be aware of like the IRC out here. I was thinking I could have it be like, okay, pull in like this is aware of IRC, and I can have an implementation where it generates the IRC config. I don't think I want to do that. So we're going to have IRC config, generate that, pass in a reference. Then we'll allow it to consume the specific things in there that it wants. Because we're not going to care about the WebSocket address, we're just going to care about these things. Okay, so that means we need a function. So private function, generate IRC config. This takes in a config, which is a reference to a config, and is going to return an IRC config. Ew, look at that. They're using just config here, so I have a namespace problem, don't I? So by using IRC client prelude, this can't be named config anymore. This is going to be all right, what do we want to call this? Can't call it config because that's going to obstruct with here. So maybe server config. So I do server config implement server config, return as server config. I'm not getting red squigglies telling me that everything is horrible and bad. Is it because config is a thing and therefore expected type found keyword pub? Found type there. Vibe 26. Oh yeah, because I was in the middle of doing this. Okay, so you are returning a config. Config. And then, okay, so we're gonna have all of these things in here essentially. So I can copy and paste you. You're okay. So nickname is, oh, it needs to be an option. So some. This is going to be the config dot nickname, Twitch nickname. This is, so server is going to be, this is understood, port is that, password is some OAuth token. Okay, so this is going to be config dot Twitch OAuth token. Channels, channel name. So a vector is going to be config dot Twitch channel name. And default is everything else default. All right, what are you yelling about? No field Twitch nickname on type IRC client data config. So we're taking in, so this is not a reference to config anymore. This has to be a reference to server config. Then suddenly that works. You should be broken, but you're probably not because you're not aware of it yet. But as soon as I run the tests, everything should be bad. In fact, there's so many of these errors. Let's do this. Okay, so struct IRC client data config has no field named WebSocket address. So exactly. So because we ran into a namespace problem in our test, we have IP address, we have all this stuff. Config is now going to be server config, and this will be fine now. Maybe. Okay, Rusty chatbot server, IRC client data config has no field named WebSocket address. Source lib rs16. Right, this is a server config. Mismatched types. Expected struct server config found struct IRC data config says lib rs36. So run, we got the wrong kind of config, so we need a server config coming into here. So that IRC config. Okay. See what else we can get. Okay, unused variable, that's good. Cannot move out of borrowed content. LibRS 16. Oh, so cannot move out of borrowed content. That's the reason why. So that is a little bit sad. It won't let us move out of the borrowed content because we have to pass in. We don't want to consume in run. So we're passing a reference to config right here. So we're borrowing it and giving it to generate IRC config. Generate IRC config is attempting to just move it out. So we can copy it. And that's one potential way to do it. The other way is that when we create these, I mean, so I guess that's one thing is we can copy that. Whatever I did there is bad. We can copy it or clone it. The other thing that we could do, because it needs ownership of like this config needs to take ownership of it. So we could just clone this, clone, and that probably will work. The other choice is that we could put in, just not make these strings, and make them string slices, and then to owned them. So that way, we're not doing it twice. I'm not going to worry about that right now because this is a fairly small app. Are we running? Nope. Okay, so struct config is private. So main rs 4.5. So on main rs 4, Rusty Chatbot server config. This is now going to be server config, which means here is server config. Unresolved import, no server config in the root. Right here. VS Code. Cargo test. Do we have tests running again? Yes, we do. Okay, perfect. So that was all so that we could then generate and run this IRC config, which is now returning this properly. So now we have an IRC config. Okay, so what's next? We've done our IRC config. Now we need to do that IRC client equal IRC client from config, the IRC config. So it creates a new IRC client from the specified configuration connecting immediately. Due to current design limitations, error handling here is somewhat limited. In particular, failed connections will cause the program to panic because the connection attempt is made on a freshly created thread. If you need to avoid this behavior and handle errors more gracefully, it is recommended that you use an IRC reactor instead. Okay, so that IRC client equals IRC client from config, and we hand it this config. And then we just unwrap it because they're going to panic if there's a problem. So it's only going to return an IRC. Yeah, it's never going to return an error. It's just going to return the result. So IRC client from config. So that IRC client equals IRC client from config. IRC client from config, the IRC config. And we might as well unwrap this. Okay. So now we have our IRC client. Then we want to identify, sends a cap and nick and user to identify. IRC client identify. It's also returning a result. Everything's returning nothing. IRC client dot identify. Not unimplemented, unwrap. Can you see what that is? No, you're unable to see identify. You are. Then we have this IRC client for each incoming raw message. This is where it's going to get interesting. So how do we want to handle this? For each incoming raw message, we're going to want to somehow send a message out. The only thing I can think of is storing each message that comes in into a struct. So we have one thing that's constantly coming in, and everything's coming in, and it is, let's see, command, priv message channel. So we have a function. We have a closure that's going to be run every time that there's a message that comes in. And that gives us the ability to use the IRC client to then send messages and do all the stuff we want to do. On the other side, we have our WebSockets. And we want, every time that we take in this raw message, we want to then send that raw message to, well, to whoever is listening. So what's a good way to handle this? We could have like a queuing system where we could take in these messages here. We can put them into I don't know if we need to put in a hash map. We could put them into a vector. A vector keeps the orders. So like we don't really care what the messages are. We know they're just strings, so we can take that, and then we can, in here, go through and check. The problem I see is that we're running into an asynchronous problem. This function will just run on its own, right? It'll just continuously add in. If we have an infinite loop in here, so this has a incoming message, like move incoming message into here. What happens if I just want to send something? Like what if I want to do an infinite loop? All right, so does this still work? That's one question I have. Can I still cargo run this? No. I failed to do sender send where? Expected one of comma. Oh, move incoming message is there like that. Okay, it's thinking about it. Okay, so that's running. What I want to try to do is maybe outside of here, because we have move incoming message. Can I just send without, this relies upon something incoming and then it runs this stuff. This takes WebSocket address, sender. So this is just a function in here. Can I do another sender.send? So can I just like create an infinite loop? And I want to bring in thread so I can sleep. So use standard thread. Oh, standard thread sleep. Okay, so sleep. I also need to use a standard. It's like time, duration. So in this loop, I want to sender.send I am alive. I also want to then sleep duration from sex 1. Every let's do 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds, we'll loop through here and sleep. All right, so can I run you? And this should create unreachable is fine. Okay, so do I have you running? So let's restart here. We want to const socket equals new WebSocket. We want to add an event listener, and I should be receiving something every 5 seconds, right? WebD, good morning. Oh, Rust. Firefox cannot establish a connection to the WebSocket server, so that did not work. I was hoping that this would basically loop through slowly and just send this. But it looks like, oh, you know what? All the WebSocket stuff is happening here. No, WebSocket listen, config WebSocket address. We have our sender. That should be fine because we have the sender here. Hit send. Do I need to put this into threads and like do that so it doesn't block the main thread? This is a little bit sad that it's not sending out. I guess I could. Because right now it's looking like their example code is, oh, I need to have something income in order to like send it out. I just want to send it out on my own without relying upon anything incoming. Either that or it's going to have to be, what else do you have, and then it responds, which is, that's polling at that point in time. That's not really, it's not what I want. So sender, what can I do with you? Can I store sender into a struct and get a reference to it and use it then? That might be really interesting. All right, let's make sure that everything is still working the previous way. All right, so running. At this point in time, I'm starting to think about just creating a script that runs here. That might be easier. Let's go ahead and do that really quickly. Let's add a new tab. Go to our desktop. Let's touch, I guess, index.html. I'll touch. I'll just do everything in there. So code here. Okay, so index.html, we have, bring in our HTML. We don't care about anything right here. We don't need any style sheets. Instead, at the bottom of the body, we're going to have a script tag, and we'll put in all of our code right here because why not? All right, so const socket equals new web socket. This is going to be a URL, so it's // localhost 3002 socket dot add event listener. Ooh, type close error message, so we want message, and this is going to give the event, and we just want to console.log the event.data. Okay, and then also after we do that, we could then socket.send hello server, are you listening? This should mirror back to us. Actually, I've been trying to get out of the habit of using semicolons in JavaScript so that it helps me keep the difference between, like, oh, I'm working in Rust, semicolons. I'm working in JavaScript, no semicolon. All right, so we have index.html. Let's go ahead and just open that file. Syntax error, an invalid or illegal string was specified. Where? Line 11. Const socket equals new WebSocket. That should be a valid string. Can you show me? Pause and exceptions. Okay, so do I need to bring in something like light server or like a very basic server and then serve it up from there? That seems rather interesting too. I just wanted a quick file to run execute in the browser. Why aren't you running? Okay, so an invalid string was cause and exceptions. An invalid or illegal string was specified. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. And of course, then it just errors out right there. If I were to run this in the console right now, read declaration of const socket, of course. This is what I did before, and it was working. Is there any difference? Oh, that's it. WS. I forgot. Great error message there. Oh, I accidentally refreshed chat window. That's not what I wanted to do. An attempt was made to use an object that is not or is no longer available. Okay, line 15. So socket.send hello server, are you listening? All right, I'm just gonna have to pull each of these new things I did. So add event listener was this one. Very similar. And we had socket.send, the world. It's pretty much the same too. An attempt was made to use an object that is not or is no longer usable. Okay. In WebSockets, this is do I have to wait for it to open? So create WebSocket connection, const socket equals WebSocket. Let's just copy the example and bring it in this way. (3002). Make you all appropriate tabbing. Sort of appropriate tabbing. Okay, so we're still getting this, but we got message from server, hello server. If we do another socket to send hello world, message from server, hello world. So that's working. Our socket server is working. Rusty chatbot server. Okay, so how do we want to do this? We could try on open. What do we have access to here? So sender dot, there's nothing. We need a, since that's not being helpful, let's take a look at what we got here. So our web, so we got sender send, broadcast, close reasoned, ping pong, queue new connection, shut down, timeout, cancel. None of those are what I want to do. So we have listen, we have this factory functions, that's like this out. That allows us to do this out.send. We have this message, which we assume was, well, the message was being handed to us when it comes in. Because this is the factory function. I kind of want to just print this message. Let's see what that is. So WebSocket listen, here's the sender, here's incoming message. Let's print line incoming message. Incoming message. Thread unnamed, panic, a connection reset, no ping response. Okay, so there was an error in there from potentially the client. Okay, so we're running. Nothing has printed out yet. We come here. I hit refresh. We got incoming message, hello server. Okay, so that's kind of what we expected it to be. So this message is literally just the string. Well, okay, so we don't know that for sure. We have this factory F. That is this function right, this entire function. It is an fn mutable, so it's an fn mute sender function. We go to sender. That's a struct. Just wait. So it is a sender. That's what I would take in here. Public struct sender, which is why, okay, so that's what we take in, is this sender, which is why we can do send on it. Send a message over the connection. we have broadcast, send a message to the endpoints of all connections. Okay, so we have a simple web server. So that might be all we need. We could try broadcast. Good morning, Elder Male. Oh, hi. If you have a website, okay, so there's no test like to show how it works. Let's just try broadcast. So it's just broadcast and it takes in the message. So we do sender broadcast hello from the server. Unused result. Oh, they have an actual result? No, they don't. They just pretend they do. So if I reset this, are you still gonna get this? Like, will you continue to be connected there, or did it get reset? So you're running hello server. Message from the server. Hello from the server. Okay. Incoming message. So that didn't trip there. So that's good. Is this when I would want to say, okay, we'll do our infinite loop. We'll do our thread. No, we'll do sleep. Duration from seconds every 5 seconds. And then we'll say sender dot broadcast hello from the server, bang 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 bang. Unwrap. Okay, so obviously this code won't ever be running, but the idea is that now every 5 seconds we'll be just hitting that over and over and over again. Refresh, and let's see if we're gonna get this over and over and over. We're not. So it isn't broadcasting out. So it works. Even if I move the sleep below, I mean, it's still only sleeping for 5 seconds, then it's moving on to the next thing. The problem, this sender isn't broadcasting out. It's fine. What I guess I was hoping to do is say, okay, when you get this, just send this, wait 5 seconds, come back to here. Oh, did I say sender? Sender. I'm surprised that didn't error. Okay. Still nothing showing up here. So we're still, it's not can't establish a connection to the server. I think they said they put it into a thread. They put the WebSocket stuff into a thread. So when I'm sending out a broadcast, it should go out. If I don't do the loop though, okay, so if I don't do the loop, if I wait for maybe 15, let's do 30 seconds, 20 seconds. We'll start the server. As soon as we see it running, we'll come over to the browser and we'll refresh. That'll give us the time to sort of set the connection up before that runs. Okay, hit refresh, and then hopefully we should get something back, but we're not. But is that because of the sleep? Is the sleep hitting it in other ways that we don't want it to? Can't establish a connection to the server at WebSocket localhost. So that's thread sleep, I think, causing that problem. No console logs there. If I remove you altogether, you're running here, hit refresh. So we get this, hello from the server, hello server. Is it running this? If I do another, okay. On the front end here, we have this add event listener open. That's when we do hello server. Hello server comes back to us immediately. Hello from server came first. So that's basically on open, it broadcasts that out. Can I just do another one at another time? Or do I want to like put it down here? Also, we're moving something in. Are we moving sender in? What if I don't move? Oh, this is the return. See, this is so strange. So WebSocket listen, config WebSocket address. We're taking in the sender here and we're returning a closure. But this closure is executed every time an incoming message comes in. Do we want to put that in here? Well, okay, so we're printing this incoming message out. But that's just like hello server coming in. So we have the sender, then this function, this factory function that we created, it returns an H, a handler. On shutdown, on open, on message. Right now, what are we returning? We're doing send. Sender.send must be this. Okay, so factory function F, that's the sender. That's just a public struct sender. That's this right here. Okay, so listen. Let's go back to listen. Where is listen? WebSocket listen. Result WebSocket. Consume the WebSocket and listen for a new connection on the specified address. Okay, so we do WebSocket listen, pass it the address, we pass it a function. Okay, so we have listen, we pass it in the address, and nothing else. You're not WebSocket listen address and a function. Address, and that's it. So what else? What am I missing? That's not. Oh, so struct WebSocket has listen on it, I bet. Listen on WS is what we're using. So listen, there's the address, here's the function. This function F is an fn mute that is gonna be handed sender and returns a handler. Can I have returns a handler? Can I have multiple listens? This function blocks until the event loop finishes running. Avoid calling this method within another WebSocket handler. Within another WebSocket handler. Okay, so would I potentially want to do WebSocket listen on another So WebSocket listen. Here's the problem. WebSocket address is being consumed by them, right? So config.websocket address clone. This is a sender. So it's this handler that returns that's interesting. Because handler, we can have this on open. These are trait. Oh, this is no function on handler. So what has on open on it? Wait, no, nothing. Called when the WebSocket handshake is successful and the connection is open for sending and receiving messages. So function on open. Where is it attached to? So sender struct. I'm not seeing where, so we have one where, so into. Close broadcast ping. Close the reason connect. Queue new connection on this WebSocket to the specified URL. There's a builder. Utility for constructing a WebSocket from various settings. That doesn't give me much information here. Airframe handshake. Okay, I don't think I need to care about that. There's the WebSocket itself. Consume the WebSocket and listen for new connections on a specified address. I don't think well, maybe. This returns the WebSocket F. So create a new WebSocket using a given factory to create handlers. Find, I don't think. Then there's listen. Well, that's literally where we came around back to it. We have connect, queue an ongoing connection on this WebSocket. Run the WebSocket. This will run the encapsulated event loop blocking the calling thread until the WebSocket is shut down. Get a sender that can be used to send messages in all connections. When send on a sender is equivalent to calling broadcast. I guess if I would do sender, where's that trait on open created? That's what I need to figure out. Because we have this trait handler. Okay, so where is trait handler set and used? Handler. Implement this trait. So basically, where's that function available to me to use? The on open. So like when it's on open, I could then register at closure to then send a message out. There's this on open. It's provided messages on handler. called when the WebSocket handshake is successful and the connection is okay. So that's not really helpful to me though. Okay, so I don't want to have to do like the low level stuff. I want to be able to get I want to do timeouts. So I don't think any of this stuff is what I want. I just want to be able to send a message. I want to be able to send a message on my own without relying upon a message coming in. And right now we have like this. This is basically an incoming message that is being hit by it. I almost wonder, like, if I don't take anything in, if I just return. Oh, that's the wrong one. This one's fine. If I want to say this one, okay, so WebSocket listen sender. If I want to say, okay, you are sender dot broadcast hello from the server. Let's do a huge number of these exclamation points. Unwrap. Oh, you won't let me unwrap it? Oh, you WebSocket listen. We need an unwrap here too. No red squigglies. The trait bound WebSocket message is not satisfied. The trait function WebSocket message. Oh, right, because this sender. Let's try over again with this. This comes up to here. So this is gonna itself return a function that takes in a message, but if I ignore that, and if I just return sender dot broadcast, and let's just say, let's do a bunch of random text. We'll unwrap this. Well, may not care. It may want the unwrap to be passed in to listen. Let's try it though. Expected what? How did I do that? Expected closure that takes one argument. Here, this has to take an argument. This has to take a message. Even if we don't use it, so. Expected, okay, so I can't unwrap this. It wants me to send the result on up to its parent so it can handle it. Sender does not live long enough. Borrowed value does not live long enough. So we need to move. These are different senders, so we need to move in. Okay, so it's running. So immediately we get this message from server right here. Nothing back. Nothing back. Hmm. So I guess the really annoying thing that I'm running into here is not knowing how they're handling WebSockets so that I can continuously send something out. Does Dave creates examples? Simple WebSocket echo server using closures, don't care about that. A simple WebSocket client for connecting to an echo server using closures, don't care about that. An example of an echo client and an echo server on one thread using closures, don't care about that. An example of an echo client and an echo server on separate threads. This demonstrates using a struct as a WebSocket handler. Maybe. I still don't care about the echo. A more complex example using channels to communicate with a WebSocket handler to accomplish a separate task. An example demonstrating how to send and receive a custom ping pong frame. It might end up being this one. Although they keep on just using echoes. Now, they're using thread and thread sleep and duration. Okay, so they have function main. Okay, so here's their data they're gonna send. Wait, do they have that for the other stuff? The move message, server got message. Okay, so that's not helpful. Well threaded. Oh, look at this. Use WebSocket, and sender. This is above. Extern create WebSocket, extern create URL, and env logger. A variable to distinguish the two halves. Create a WebSocket with a closure as the factory. So let mute WebSocket new output is type sender. Oh, so we're passing the closure. The first connection is named client. So if name equals client, where does name come from? If name is equal to client, print line sending hello WebSocket, output.send, this output.send, hello WebSocket unwrap. Okay. This closure handler needs to take ownership of the output. So let handler equals, and then we move. Okay, so then we're registering a new closure. We're assigning it to handler. We're going to move something inside of it. It's going to take in a message. Print got blah blah. So name message. If we are the server, so if name equals server client, are you? .send, how are you? Else output.shutdown. Otherwise, we are the client and we'll shut down a WebSocket. The next connection this factory makes will be named server. Oh, interesting. The next connection this factory will make will be server. So it's switching back. It created a client and it created a server. But more interesting, okay, so when we have, how are we sending? Output.send is what we got in here. So we have a new WebSocket where we get the output, which is a sender. So it's a type sender. We can now send that. So I kind of almost want to try this method instead. So we have extern create WS. So we have that right here, extern create WS. I don't need any of these. I'm not going to use these for right now. Let mute WS equals WebSocket new. And we're going to pass it in a closure which takes an output, which is of type sender. Okay. So in run, here's our WebSocket. I kind of wanted to just recreate and restart this all over again. We're going to do a so we're creating a new WebSocket. Oh, interesting. So this is overwriting it. I just want to do this. Yeah, it's just, I don't like the idea of shadowing the entire thing. So let WebSocket equals, and it's going to be WebSocket new. So it's WS WebSocket new, and it's going to be a factory function. Okay, so interesting. Okay, so we're going to have to do all this stuff down there. So this is going to be the output. So we're going to have an output. So it's really going to be, this is our sender. And in here, the first connection is named client. Well, but that's just like our server is a client. I don't really care about that. Output.send hello WebSocket .unwrap. So we can now just do sender.send hello from server .unwrap. Oh, so you're unhappy. Expected one of, this is function run. Need a semicolon here. Type annotations needed. Okay, so you are a WS sender. Now I can sender send unwrap. Let handler, the closure handles, so handler equals, this is where we're going to get the message, the incoming messages. Okay. So WebSocket server is starting up. That's what's really going on there. That handler equals, this is going to be a closure that takes in a message, and in it this is where we're, okay, so we can print line, received message. Interesting. So this is happening multiple times. It seems a little bit weird. We got I'm not sure about how name is being shifting a couple different times, because like name is changing over here. We must return the handler. Okay, I don't really care about that, I don't think. So we just want to say, okay, we got the message. If we are the server, we're sending this, sending a message back. Output send, how are you? Otherwise, we are the client. Shut down. I don't want to shut down. So this is the URL for the client. Queue a WebSocket connection to the URL. I don't know, it's so weird that they put a client and a server together in the same file. I don't really like that. I just wanted a server on its own that gets something and sends it out, and maybe sends out something when it first connects. But I think that's what it was that. Okay, so closure needs to take ownership of output. But that's where we move. We have to move this into here because we receive this message, and then we're going to say, okay, sender dot send you sent me. I guess it's going to be a format. You sent me message. Okay, so that's sort of a kind of mirror. So we do the send. Then we return the handler. So this should be one time only, sending. And this should probably be as soon as we establish a connection, they'll send that. So it's not really WebSocket server socket is starting up. It's more of connection established. Type mismatch, resolving this. Expected nothing, found enum standard result. Result, which one? Does send need to be unwrapped? No, it doesn't. Okay. So, okay. Okay. Let's just run it and find out what errors there are. Type mismatch, let WebSocket equals new WebSocket, expected nothing back, found enum standard result. So on line 43, this WebSocket new got nothing back. Well, new expects result. You want me to unwrap here? More errors, type mismatching. Expected. Okay, so that didn't fix that at all. So dot unwrap. We do have an unwrap on this. We return the handler. That mutable WebSocket. Okay, so did I mutable it too? No. So that mute WebSocket equals WebSocket new, WS WebSocket new, pass it in the closure of output type sender. Okay. We're not doing this, but we are doing an output.send.unwrap. Okay, so output send unwrap. There's that. Closure handler needs to take ownership of output. So let handler equals move and take in the message, print line. We're just going to print out what we got, message received, and then the message, and also sender. This is output from this. So sender.send. Interesting, it doesn't want this to, oh, we need to have this be, this is return. So whatever sender.send is, it gets returned. So semicolon there is wrong. That's what the problem was. Okay. Next connect. Okay, so we must return the handler. We unwrap the URL for the client. We have that. Interesting. So we need to have a special URL type. Queue a WebSocket connection to the URL. So WebSocket connect and pass it in the URL. That's after all of this. That's our WebSocket. So after all of this, we're now going to do WebSocket.connect. We're going to pass it the URL, which was config dot webs. Oh wait, no, we're not connecting. That's a client thing. WebSocket.listen. That's what we care about. WebSocket.listen. It's going to be the config.WebSocket address .unwrap. And at the end, it shuts down a WebSocket? That doesn't seem... Okay. Let's try this and see what happens. Well, it looks like it's going to compile. All right, so it's running. We're going to come back to our here. We're going to hit. So connection established. You sent me hello server. received message, hello server. Okay, so that's all this code now for running this WebSocket. The problem that I see is that this handler needs to move the sender into it, so it can't be used ever again. The smiley guy, hello, good morning. Now, if I didn't want to do this, if I didn't want to receive anything and mirror anything, what if what's happening here? I am attempting to create a WebSocket server so that I could send those chat messages up to the front end so I can then display them on the screen. So we have to have some kind of handler has to return. I think that's the problem that we're having. We need to have a handler function that returns like a send or something. Can we clone sender? Instead of move, can I clone? Thanks for streaming. Wish could have been more helpful, engaging. Isn't your area of expertise? Yeah, this is interesting. Like, it's really easy to do in Node.js, and in some of the other languages. This, like, I feel I'm so close, but I just need to understand how this library is working, and then I can go. I might have to go through some of the other things and like set up thread pools and do that. I was hoping I could avoid doing that, but I may have to. Let's see. So sender.send. Can I? Well, okay. So WebSocket. So we're listening here. WebSocket is a new connection here. Unwrap. This is listening separately here. Is this just registering this thing to happen? Okay, so what happens if I put this back? No, this WebSocket is listening right here. That's what it's doing. Also, does not need to be mutable. Can I do it again? Good luck and see you Monday. Yeah, probably. Definitely see you on Monday. I have next week off as well, and then we'll be on to my new job. So next week will be probably long streams again, and then we'll see. Handler has to return a handler, which is what we're doing with this, because it's sender.send. What if it wasn't a send? Well, okay, it's a sender. It's a type sender. There's not necessarily much we can do here. WebSocket documentation again. Here's our sender. We have function, send, broadcast, close with reason, ping pong, connect, shut down, timeout, and cancel. But we do have clone. There is a clone. clone it before we send it in. Is clone one of the valid? Can we do that? Or is it copy? No, I think it's clone. No, I don't think that's one of the things that we can do. No, it's move. So we have this sender. We are sending this connection established. I guess I could try my entire thread sleep and sled duration again in here. My guess is we'll have the exact same problem and it won't work. So that's my guess. Let's try it. So, let's do a. So this is when we establish a new connection. Let's do down here a sleep duration from seconds, 5 seconds. Then we'll do because we've moved sender in, we have no access to it anymore. But can I clone it? Can I say let other sender equals sender dot clone? And then here, can I say other sender dot send woohoo another message dot unwrap. All right, is that legal? Will this work? My guess is no. I don't think it'll work at all. I think we'll get the exact same problem where nothing just works. We can't connect to the WebSocket server and just everything's bad. So connecting, absolutely nothing. So it's the same problem. We're gonna, oh, look at that. Connection established, woohoo, another message. You sent me hello server. Oh, but that's why it needs to return. So theoretically, if I clone sender, if I hand it to a thread, or if I store it in a structure or something that I can then use somewhere else. So sender is going out of scope right here, or my other sender is going out of scope right here. This sender is going out of scope right here. Can I potentially take this sender, take this other sender, instead of sending this message right here, can I store this into a structure? So can I say struct, this is going to be a WebSocket sender. This is going to store the sender, which is a type WebSocket sender. We want Well, here's the thing. I need to initialize this without a WebSocket sender to begin with. So it would begin with nothing, with a none, so an option. And then once the WebSocket is established, we'll add a WebSocket sender in there. Then it will be a sum which has a WebSocket sender in it, so we can extract the sum. We need to make sure we don't move it out. So we'll need some methods on it to then borrow the sender and use it. I don't know if I can run it on a borrowed sender, but we'll find out. This probably isn't going to be just a WebSocket sender. This might have to be like an enum, where it's either going to be a sender or it's going to be like there's nothing there. Like we have a struct WebSocket sender, but we're also going to have an enum. Chatbot sender. I mean, I'm not really sure how I want to put that in here, and it's possible things are going to be it's a sender, which is type sender or none. This is going to be type chatbot sender. And then I'll have to have methods on it to sort of set that up. So when we create a new WebSocket sender, it will be initialized with none. Then we'll add the sender in, we'll change it to be a type sender, which holds the sender. All right. I'm getting a little bit tired, as in like mentally tired, as it's a little bit hard for me to think about this through. I don't want to do this right now. I want to make sure I have working code. So let's... This is just our mirror WebSocket. Okay, so what I want to do is store this. Let's make sure that we're running still. Go run. We have these unused things. So thread sleep, duration, and other sender. Unused variable, other sender. So I'm gonna remove those. We don't need you. We don't need you two. Save you. Run you again. Okay, so running there. Let's refresh you. Okay, so connection established. You sent me hello server. I want to add all of you guys up here. And so, okay, created a WebSocket server that mirrors what it receives, what it is sent. And we'll publish that on up. Now I haven't published my the chat bot that we sort of like creating last time. We're going to be redoing that anyway, so it's not working. So none of the commands are here. So what I'm going to do is, I mean, the links are in the description to where this code is, but here it is. I'm going to put this into chat. That way it's available for anybody to see if they so want to, and they can pull it down and play around with it. So next time, what is our to-dos? We're gonna want to go through and take a look at example of an Echo client. We're gonna want to go through their examples, their other examples, and example of an Echo client and Echo server separate threads. This demonstrates using a struct as a WebSocket handler. I'm guessing that this is what we're going to be wanting to look at. So next time, this is where we're going to be. And next time is going to be on Monday. So on Monday, we'll go through, we'll work on these threads, we'll get the WebSocket server up and running. That will be really good because there's actually a lot of really cool uses for WebSockets that I can think of. Especially the fact that I want to be able to full screen all of this stuff and have this chat basically showing up and fading away and removing. And we can do that with JavaScript and CSS. So I'm interested in basically getting that working and then maybe setting it up so that other people can do the same if they so want to. All right, but with that, I think it's about time for me to head off. What do I have on? I've got 6 viewers right now. Is there anybody interesting that is streaming? Nobody that I'm following. If I discover, where is it? Browse. Oh, I don't have it on my phone for that. Okay, so we can look at Twitch. Twitch. Browse. Show me communities or program. I guess I could just look for programming. Or let me look for Rust. Rust Lang. Oh, so I'm not seeing communities, Rust Lang. Is there anybody? Oh, 6 viewers? That's just me. So I'm the only one that's streaming for that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and shut this on down. And with that, I'll do that in a couple of minutes. I'm gonna switch over to the ending stream because I keep on forgetting to do that. But next time on Monday, we'll be back for more Rust Twitch development. Thank you everybody for watching, and I've got links to where all the code is, where you can. I don't have a link to where you can find the my YouTube videos yet because that link is a little bit too long. But I do tweet out whenever these archive videos go online, so you can follow me on Twitter to get that. Otherwise, I have been doing these every morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. I'll see you all next week on Monday morning.